I used to believe that my minimalist wardrobe just wasn't perfect enough yet, until I realized that it actually wasn't built for my real life. And maybe you have experienced that too. You buy beautiful pieces, but somehow you still end up reaching for the same outfits. Or your closet might look aesthetically pleasing, but in everyday life, nothing ever really feels right. And at some point, I had to realize I'd been building my wardrobe all this time for a fantasy version of myself. A version that always looks the same, always has the same figure, always feels like dressing up, and is never uncomfortable, tired, or overwhelmed. But that's just not how real life works. And that was my first lesson. Build your wardrobe for real life and not for your fantasy self. How did I achieve this? By finding my uniform. And no, I don't mean wearing the exact same outfit every day. What I mean is to find an outfit formula that works almost every time. For me, that usually means loose-fitting pants, a top with a built-in bra, and a layering piece on top. But each piece that I own serves a different purpose. One pair of pants keeps me more warm and the other keeps me cool. One layering piece looks maybe more romantic and the other more casual. And that was exactly my next lesson. Don't buy the exact same pieces. Instead, create the same comfort but with different looks. In the past, whenever I found something cool, I'd often just buy the same thing again in different colors. But honestly, that barely changes your look. Today, I tend to ask myself which piece gives me the same feeling but still brings something new to the table. And I think that is exactly why many people think minimalist outfits are boring. But actually, an outfit usually just needs one interesting element. A color, a texture, or a cut, or a little detail. Something that makes the look special. And then came what was probably my biggest lesson. Function first, and then perfection later. I think many of us try to build the perfect minimalist wardrobe right off the bat. With expensive pieces, with the perfect aesthetic, with high-end brands. But that is exactly what never worked for me. Because when you're rebuilding your wardrobe, you're going to make mistakes. And the problem is, if everything is bought new and expensive right off the bat, you suddenly feel obligated to love those pieces. I've done this so many times for myself. I've bought things that were theoretically perfect, but they just didn't work in my real life. For example, I recently bought a set that was actually really beautiful. But those elastic bands around my sleeves annoyed me so much that I kept just taking it off. And yet, I still wanted to keep it because it was quite expensive. Until I finally realized if I don't truly love a piece, it has no place in my wardrobe. I sold it secondhand and within minutes, it had a new owner. And that's when it clicked for me. I need to make a wardrobe functional first and not perfect. That's why I buy a lot more secondhand these days. I try these things out and then I upgrade it later. And I also almost inclusively shop in store instead of online. Because I've come to realize that I need to feel the fabrics, the fits and the materials for myself. A lot of things look nice online, but my body usually knows right away whether something really works or not. So if you take just one advice from this video, let it be this. Make it work first and then make it perfect. Another huge lesson I had was that your wardrobe needs to support you on your worst days, not just your best ones. Because let's be honest, on a good day, almost everything feels okay. But what about the days when you feel tired, bloated, overwhelmed, on your period, or just not in the mood to dress perfectly? That's exactly what your wardrobe needs to work for. For me, that for example means that I always have elastic waistbands. Everything else is just for my fantasy self. And I know this might sound trivial, but clothes shouldn't punish you. They should make your life easier. The same goes for sensory comfort, by the way. At some point, I realized that I just don't like wearing certain fabrics, tight cuts, or also traditional bras. And honestly, many of my choices might seem random, but they're based entirely on how clothes feel on my body. For example, I always prefer long sleeves, even in the summer. I also like longer layering pieces that fall just past my hips. And I don't like traditional bras, which is why my outfits almost consist of tops with a built-in bra. These are all little things, but in the end, that's exactly what creates a minimalist wardrobe that actually really works for you. Because if clothes don't feel good physically, I simply don't wear them. And here's one more thing I had to learn: not to get emotionally attached to clothes. I used to often feel guilty when I sold or gave away items. Just recently, when I sold a large part of my old wardrobe because it didn't fit into my new life as a pregnant woman and mom. But within a few days, all of those items had found a lovely new home. And suddenly I realized these clothes are now getting a new life with someone who truly loves and wears them. And at the same time, I get to move on and build a wardrobe that actually better suits my current life. Minimalism doesn't mean that you have to lock yourself into the same version for years. And here is my latest big lesson on building a minimalist wardrobe that actually works. Always think a little beyond your current life state. When I got pregnant, my first thought was, okay, I just need clothes for the next 9 months. Until I suddenly realized that I'd still be breastfeeding afterwards and that my body probably wouldn't look exactly the same as before right away. So instead of putting together a wardrobe for a temporary moment, I started building one that would evolve with me over time. And I think that's something many people forget when they're putting together a minimalist wardrobe. They only focus on their current life, not the life that realistically comes next. It doesn't have to be pregnancy. Maybe for you it is something like a new job, or maybe weight fluctuations, a move, a different daily routine. I don't know. Your wardrobe should just be able to accompany you through these changes. So think a little further ahead. Where do you see yourself in 2 years? And how should your wardrobe best support you on your way there? Because if every life change forces you to rebuild your wardrobe entirely from scratch, your wardrobe system probably didn't work from the start. And honestly, this realization changed everything for me. Not perfection, but adaptability. I hope this was helpful. I talk to you guys soon. Bye!